You know, who's using influencers for Amazon? Your Amazon products. I mean, hey Ross, let me ask a question. Since you're not Mike, but you guys would be able to do this for the pet product industry, correct? Like if someone has pet products on Amazon?
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's like celebrity French bulldogs that have like 1 million followers on Instagram. People buy whatever they put out. People who buy pet products are crazy.
People who buy pet products are crazy. I love it. I love it. And I keep telling my daughter we're getting a dog because she asks me every day, "Can we get a dog?" I'm like, "Yes, we will eventually. We'll get the dog. It'll be great." Where did Brooks go? Brooks, thanks for that disclaimer. I thought I was listening to an attorney speak about, like, for full disclosure, I did hire these guys as for my thing. Great, so this is exciting. This is our last keynote of the day, or of the whole 2 days. So this is pretty exciting because this comes, hits pretty home. So I've known Ryan for now. Ryan's actually the guy who introduced me to Jesse, right? So Ryan's introduced me to Jesse. So like life came full circle. Where we are working together now. He runs my traffic for my personal brand. But what he's going to talk about today is actually, I think, really, really more exciting and really, really more relevant to everybody in the room. And that's what we've done with No Foods over the last, 59 days, 45 days, something like that. I mean, it really shows the power of if you have a really, really, really good, high quality, listen to this language in here, it's very important. High quality product targeting a hyper-responsive growing market, okay? When Jeff Paul, many of you guys already know who Jeff Paul is, and Dan Kennedy, years ago, his whole formula was go find crazy, irrational people who want to buy and sell them what they want. That's simple. We're now, 20 years later, we're experiencing it. So let's give it up for Ryan Skelly.
Keep talking. There we go. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we've been working with No Foods for the last 60 days strategically on their Facebook and Instagram advertising, okay? So yes, so this is No Foods. Obviously you guys probably tried some of the cookies yesterday, today. This is a grain, gluten, wheat, soy, dairy, peanut, yeast, guilt-free, healthy products that we're selling to the marketplace. So
nothing like the Oreos we just gave you about that all of you keto guys were eating. I saw it. Everybody's on a keto now.
Right. So we took the approach when we came on board with No is to just keep it as simple. You know, it's human nature that we have a tendency to admire complexity, but everything's rewarded with simplicity. So with that in our head, we basically are just going from Facebook and Instagram straight to a Shopify store. We're not sending them through any complex funnels at this point. Like, that's the next layer that we're going to be getting to. But what we started was simple. And these are the results that, have occurred for No and for us over the last 60 days. We came on January 30th. You can see a little spike in sales there when we turned on campaigns. And we doubled their number of orders in February to have their record month. But we just beat that. And we still got a couple of days to go. And over the last 2-3 days, we've actually had two of their highest recorded days ever. The only other one is there in the corner, which is Black Friday, where they had 65,000 last 2 or 3 days, where we peaked over $61,000 in sales. And I'll come back around to that at the end of the presentation and show you why. It's because we're running a promo to everybody that we brought in here in the last 60 days and to our pixel list that we're running that traffic to. So the way I'm breaking down this presentation is the keys to building out a winning campaign is, we came on board, we had to audit the brand, right? That's the first step. We want to look at all of their previous creatives, all their campaign objectives, the age demos that were working, the platforms that were working, and more specifically, the placements that had success, right? So this is very crucial, right? A lot of people, especially if you come on and they've had history, which, No's been spending money on Facebook, they just weren't profitable with it. That's where me and Ed came in, and, now we're scaling profitably. So after we audited everything, the next step is to assemble the machine, as I like to say. Jesse Itzer likes to talk about it too, like yourself, you're building machine daily, right? And that's what we're doing with No. So we started looking at winning audiences based off of their previous results, right? Obviously taking inventory of what interests were working, which lookalike audiences were working, how can we create new lookalike audiences, as in, leveraging the Pixel data more that we got. So, for an example, I created an audience of time data of people who only purchased on Saturday and Sunday, and then also people that purchased through, Monday through Friday. And I could create lookalike audiences for those, and they're going to perform differently based on what we're doing. Okay. And then the next step was we brought in, a website optimization expert. And we're doing A/B tests to increase our conversions as we're sending all this traffic daily, right? And then the last thing is obviously after we build the machine, we want to send the summit, which is, scale as fast as we can. So we're scaling out those creatives and leveraging the A/B testing at the key points of the customer journey, okay? So the first step, we said, we want to audit brand. More focus, we want to find those hidden assets and untapped opportunities that they might have been glossing over. And sure enough, that's exactly what we found. Now, a lot of people don't go to this account overview tab in their Facebook accounts, and it just befuddles me because there's so much wealth of information there. It's bringing all of your campaigns, all of your ad history under that one account. So you could, you go through, you see the age demos, the gender, what hours of time people are purchasing, and then you can really drill into that data a little bit more. But where the wealth is in the creative reporting. That's relatively new. So I highlighted these two because these are two ads that I'm going to show you that are about 60% of the traffic that we've sent were sent to these two specific creatives. Now, if you look at this, their history, they spent just under $160,000 on this. So when I'm looking at this, obviously it's not profitable. They're, one of them's below a 1 and the other one's just above a 1.1 ROAS. But when I click on that where it says 100 ads, what that's going to do is that breaks out into where these creatives are placed, right? And what ad sets they were in. There was over 100 of them, right? So then I start trying to see some trends here. I break out placements, and it doesn't show this here, but where the arrows are, those are all Instagram, right? So same creative, just going on Instagram versus being on Facebook, where they're getting a 0.8 on Facebook in the middle one, and it's a 1.56, and it's $11 cheaper to get a customer with Instagram. So that got us thinking, right? There's some untapped opportunities there on Instagram for sure. So we started to, and then the one on the bottom, 3x ROAS versus a 1.35, right? So what did I do? I forced Instagram traffic. Basically, I set up campaigns where the only placement was Instagram, and it was these video ads, right? Square video ads, educational style, telling a story, text overlays, good. It's just really good creatives. They already had these before. They paid a company called Foodbeast to create these, but they worked really well. They just were, spending a lot of money. We talk a lot about not killing your creatives as quick as possible, the ones that aren't doing well. Maybe not creatives, I mean ad sets. So they were spending a lot of money on ad sets that weren't profitable, but as you can see, we drill into the data, we can see that there's profitability there. And since they spent $150,000 to these two creatives, there's a ton of video views, social proof built on them. Even though they weren't profitable, we have all this to leverage. So then we did forced Instagram traffic. The effects were increased brand awareness. I was able to build better audiences from lookalikes from what they were just talking about in terms of people visiting the Instagram page, creating lookalikes off of people that visited the page in the last 7 days. People that interacted with our ads in the last 7 days, last 14 days, right? And then we were able to get massive increase in followers and organic engagement spike through the roof as well as we were doing all this. Now you can see we turned the campaigns on the 30th, and then all of a sudden, this is Social Blade. They talked about that in the presentation before. We were able to do just on Instagram, 3.2 million views on this one pasta BOGO, buy one get one, and you can see each day, the follower count. That's the daily follower count that we're getting on the Instagram page. So now we're starting to leverage Instagram really big for them, and it's just snowballing. And this is, a snapshot of this month. And now, there's some days it's 600 followers, 400 followers, right? It's just another way to build another audience as opposed to just having everybody on your Facebook page and building up that audience. And then this, this waffle, there was no deal on this. There's just a regular, waffle. Here's our waffles. Go to our site, buy it. 2 million views here on Instagram, right? So the next thing is conversion optimization, right? So there's always some low-hanging fruit when you come in and you see some opportunities. Now, we revamped their checkout cart to add in this script so they have the green, 1, 2, 3 step process. And then also we put in this countdown timer here, and there's also an add to cart. So if anybody puts in a waffle or a pancake mix, obviously, we have syrup that goes perfectly with that. And if it wasn't in their cart, why not add it now, right? Here's another opportunity to get some people on that. So we're currently split testing that one. We don't have results on that, but it showed up on this one. But what I wanted to show you is this is the countdown timer specifically in Visual Website Optimizer, right? And it's not small, like we did 100 sales or something. This is over 5,400 conversions, right? So we were able to determine the winning the countdown timer at our current sales volume is going to add another 84,000 in revenue to No Foods, right? So obviously we're keeping that countdown timer in there. Oh wait, how did that get there? Oh man, no way! Oh, I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm sorry. I love you, Doctor. I love you, Colin. I love you. I got goaded into it. All right. Okay. So now we want to assemble the machine, right? Hey, that is the first image when you type in your name in Google Images, just saying. All right, so now we go back to audience creation, right? We're looking at our Shopify data. We're looking at multiple purchasers. That's a great audience to pull from your data and create lookalikes off of, right? Amount spent thresholds. Like I pulled people that spent over $500 on the site. Create lookalikes off of those. Work really well. People who did $200, in purchase value, right? So you start seeing trends of how many purchases it takes them to get to that specific goal. And it's kind of cool when you start breaking down that stuff. And then what's really neat is I took the product ID. So when you're in Shopify, it will tag each product with a specific ID. And if you take that ID, you can create audiences off of people that purchased just, say, waffles, right? So why not create a lookalike audiences off of people that just bought waffles and then run the waffle ad to them, and that's been really well for us. Done some really good stuff that way. And then obviously, you want to analyze your market trends and study the market and see what other people are doing and just gain insights from them. And then Ezra did a really good thing the other day where he showed just a couple slides of Facebook Analytics where, the people that commented on post, right, and how long it took them to actually the purchase cycle. So you could really glean a lot of insights if you dig into Facebook Analytics. I don't see a lot of people talking about that, but there's a wealth of information there, right? And then, you want to create some internal KPIs. So like 1.3 ROAS is like our target or better because that's where we're profitable or break even profitable, and that's where we could really just scale to that point. So now I want to get into, Ezra also talked about this, is leveraging every pixel of the screen. Like, why not, right? If Facebook's going to charge you the same to have a video, right, that's taking up your entire screen versus one that only takes up a little bit of your screen, why not take up more of the screen so you get more attention from the user, right? So not all feeds are created, right? We have all these different feeds, and people are in different, they're doing different things. Like Audience Network, they might be reading an article. Marketplace, they're searching, what's local, and then your ad pops up, right? Or Instagram Stories. It's just a different modality of them on their feed, whereas opposed to being on, like their Facebook news feeds, right? So each platform is going to be a different experience, right? So I just really wanted to highlight this for you because this is why I think we do really good on Instagram is because of the autoplay of the videos, right? So 100% of the time it's going to be autoplay, right? James Van Elsen was talking, which is an amazing tip, is the thumbnail, right? But we don't have that on Instagram because it's automatically played. So the first couple seconds of your video makes, all the difference, right? So this is why this video did really well. It's very animated, we're going right to the product. We're, jazzing it up and people, we're getting their hunger glands going, right? And then another thing is, depending on where your ad shows up in the Instagram feed, a lot of people are consuming content from their friends with their sound on. So now you're scrolling, and not only are you getting the visual, you're getting the sound playing, so you're getting, all senses, and you're focused in on it, and you got just that much more time to be able to capture somebody's attention, right? And obviously, you just want to keep this in mind that, you can't have longer than 1 minute video on there, right? Okay, so now we go to Facebook, which is, totally different, right? Now, if somebody's scrolling the feed, there's the thumbnail, right? It's not always autoplay. So we're telling a story, we're using text overlays, we're using videos to tell that specific story, right? And now, since that was a square video, when they click on it, right, the site starts to load underneath it, right? So then the person just swipes up, and now they're on your page and they're off and buying. And obviously, videos you can go over like an hour long on Facebook, but you can't repurpose that on Instagram. And one of the really cool things is if you have a video that's under a minute and you post it to Facebook, all feeds, right? So now you got your post ID, and you could just take that and leverage that all on Instagram, so you could build up all those millions of views on that one post on Instagram if you're just going to run specifically on Instagram. So if you were to set up the campaign on, I just want to go to Instagram from the jump, you're not going to be able to leverage sending all the traffic to that one creative, right? It's going to split it up to other spots, so your views are going to be split across that creative, but they're essentially all different ads, right? So it's good to leverage that because that's social proof, and it really helps. So these are like, you want to stand out from the crowd, right? Me and Bren were having a good conversation walking to dinner yesterday about, on Instagram, I find it funny, like, why would you put a landscape mode type video when everything else that's native on the platform is square or 4x5 type videos? Like, it just subconsciously, it just jumps out in your mind that, okay, this is an ad, because that's what they look like, right? They look like that. People aren't posting those kind of, they're taking up more of the screen. So it's just definitely something to think about when you're making these decisions. And, you got to choose wisely, because depending on, what size video you go with, it's not allowable on all of these feeds that I just talked about. So, you definitely want to stick to square and 4x5. I found are great, unless you're like really leveraging Audience Network. The 4x5 vertical does not work on that. So just some video tools. I just added this in a couple minutes ago because these guys told me that they were happy that I posted it. So Wave Video is the tool that you can use to create those videos that I was just showing. They actually created those custom, but you can get the same exact look, feel, just using Wave Video, and you could literally make these in 10 minutes. All it takes is a couple images, zoom in, zoom out, text overlays, just tell a good story, right? And then Filmora, gets a little bit more technical, Camtasia as well. And Giphy Capture is great because it just will screen record anything on your laptop, right? And then you could just save it as a GIF, or you could save it as a MP4, right? So then you can leverage those, okay? It's not going to capture the sound, but it will capture the visuals. So one-by-one format. Ezra touched on this yesterday. I'm just going to keep hammering home for you guys because this is huge, right? We're taking up all the screen real estate. And then this is one of the videos that I created in Filmora for them, and we got this up to 1.2 million views on this one specifically on Facebook, right? So we're telling the story, we're just snapping photos, right? And then the like I said before, the website loads, and then you scroll up, okay? So it's like just more focused attention. We're taking up more screen real estate. And then we're getting higher CTRs on these, and it's also Sometimes it takes 2 swipes to get up. Instead of just 1 swipe to get past your ad, they got to swipe twice on their phone. So just a longer time engaged in seeing your video there. And like I just touched on before, it makes Instagram, more native. So here's the 4x5 video format, right? So what's cool about this is it's swipe up call to action on mobile, which I think is huge because, okay, the 1x1, when they click on it, the website loads. But on this, one more step. You're immersed in the video, and then you can swipe up after you've learned all the information. We're trying to pre-sell these people before they even get to the site, right? So if they consume the entire video, they're more pre-sold before they get to the site. So definitely leverage this kind of video format. It works on Instagram newsfeed and Facebook newsfeed. So I just like the immersive user experience of it, right? So they swipe up and then boom, they're to your site. Okay, so now let's ascend the summit. This is 29029. I know people talked about it. You definitely, if you're into that kind of adventure and pushing yourself, definitely something to check out for sure. So basically, scaling down, the double down method, 80-20 rules in effect here as well. We want to focus in on 20% of the ad sets that are going to move the needle and make sales for us, right? And then we want to just aggressively scale those. So we've spent over 700,000 here at a 1.82 ROAS and 33,726 orders from when I took the screenshot earlier today. So it's a lot of buyers coming in, right? A lot of probably about 75% of them are new buyers. So we're getting people accustomed to the brand. And then here's the same videos, right? So we had 2 million on Instagram. There's close to 3 million on here. And we spent, 170,000 at a 186 with a waffle, with no offer, guys. We're just going from this video, showing it, and going to the site, and they're either purchasing or they're not.
Can I say something real quick? So that, I think really like a few people have asked me about food or they've asked them about your supplement offers. And one thing I'm encouraging people to do is look at your brand, look at your SKUs, look at your product offering, and ask what else can you give that you could literally run ads like this where you go right from a 15-minute video ad that goes right to an e-commerce page or even like a Zipify funnel or whatever you might have, where the person is already in buyer intent mode. It just is so much easier to sell people when you can do that with your videos. And if you're selling a product like consumables, really just, or in joint pain, instead of worrying about your joint pain supplements, a joint cream, right, might be something that you can actually get your point across, get your pitch across, and have it done in 15 seconds, 30 seconds. It's just, this kind of all is blowing me away. This was a good learning experience for me to see. This is so much easier to create than to do a 30-minute VSL trying to sell people, and your conversion rates on those are 0.05%, and that's $1 million business, where this is 1.86.
We're getting about 4% conversion rates across, for purchase on the Shopify store straight from Facebook. About 11% add to cart, and then 4% purchase.
Yeah, and we're just now adding upsells inside the system. This kind of blows me away. So
Yeah. So it's just gonna this is just gonna continually evolve, and we're just gonna get better as we go here. Learn the marketplace even more. And then, so what really took off was the Pasta BOGO. We got up to 6.1 million views on Facebook. Close to almost, what's that, 9.3 million views total, right? At a 1.53. So these two videos are about 60% of the ad spend that we've done, right? So let's jump into an ad set. One of the biggest ad sets I was able to scale, which ironically was not a lookalike audience. It was simply a low carbohydrate diet, right? Exclude purchases 30 days. And what I've been doing I've been noticing every time I click on expand audience interests, which is a little tick that you just check on Facebook, it makes the audience that much bigger. So you're able to scale to that audience, because if they're finding purchasers, Facebook's going to go find out a broader pool of people to go find, as opposed to like if you're doing a lookalike, most of the time they're about 2 million strong, depending on what size lookalike you're using. So we use the double down method, which, you know, Ed touched on earlier, which we learned from, you know, Tim Berg.
yeah.
Well, he calls it the, you know, shotgun surfing method. I've been doing the shotgun strategy forever, which is, you know, you load up a bunch of ad sets, say like 40, in this case at $300 an ad set, right? So we have all of our lookalike audiences, we have our interest audiences, we have just a ton of audiences that could possibly like really blow it out for us, or they could just crash and shit, like James was saying, right? So,
Can I say something real quick? So if he sets $300 per ad set and 40 ad sets, how much money is that? That's $12,000 a day. And let's say you only want to spend $8,000. You'd still run that, you'd still
Set it up like
budget that way because of you need to get Facebook to start spending your money and plan on spending $12,000 or $14,000.
right. So, so 9:30, you're checking your ads, right? So they launched at 12:01 Eastern, and at 9:30, checking. I'm pausing anything that had. So for our instance, so let's take a step back. So our target is 1.3 ROAS at scale, right? Some people might not be in that. You know, this is a venture-backed, you know, fast growth business.
Focused on revenue.
Yeah, focus on, you know, how many customers can we get within our range versus, you know, really focus on how big ROAS can we get, right? The customer means more to us than the ROAS at this point, right? So we're looking at the lifetime customer value here, right? So at 9:30, you know, I would pause anything that had 0 conversions. I left ad sets that had like maybe 1 sale, and everything else on the ad looked good. Like the clicks were really good. The cost per that sale was, it might have been over my target CPA, but it had low ROAS. So maybe, you know, I got a sale and our typical, you know, cart value is like $45, but that person only purchased 20. Who says the next person's not going to come along from this ad set and purchase 100 and then get me up to, you know, a $60 cart value on that one ad set, right? So anything that was really blowing it up, like, you know, 4 times ROAS, I would add 35% budget. I would just, boom, add 35% to my daily budget on that. And guys, most of this spend, it's about 75% of it is auto bid, right? Because if you go back to what James was saying, like, we want to spend the money versus, you know, Facebook with the manual and, you know, limiting, you know, with the ROAS and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a give and flow. You want to have a mixture of all of these things, and like, you guys got to go back and watch James' stuff. Like, I was taking crazy notes back there. That guy's a technician, and I love it. So then anything that had 2.5 ROAS up to like 3.9, I would add 25% budget to it, right? And then anything 2 and above, I would add 10% budget, right? So then I would come back and I'd check it at 11. This is just one day. Typically what I would say is I do 9:30, I would do 1:30, and then I would do 5:30, right? But we were, you know, sometimes I'll get texts from Ed like, yeah, let's crank it up, let's go, let's, you know. So I'm like, all right, you want me to crank it up? Let's crank it up. So, so then at 11, you know, I'd kill any ad sets that had one conversion or less, and the conversions were over $60, and I had below a 1 ROAS, because it's still early in the day, and a lot of our buyer traffic comes in at night, right? So that's the other thing, is like knowing your market and when they buy. James even hit on that before. He said, like, you know, say you had something that you just know people aren't going to purchase after 7 p.m. In our case, most of our purchases do come in, you know, after, you know, dinner time, like 5:30ish. And on. That's when conversions start to spike. And if I was at like a 1.3 ROAS of the day, by the end of the day, I could end up with like a 1.7, right? If I were to shut that off earlier in the day when it was at like a 1.1, because it just didn't look good at that point, right? I wouldn't be able to get that extra traffic at the end of the day. So I don't want to have to go through all this, but you get the point. As you keep going, if they stick and they actually take, you're going to lose some ROAS when you do this, right? But if you're within range and it's not much, the extra conversions are making up for it, right? Again, harping back to we're looking to get as many customers as possible, right? Where, you know, some people are in other positions, right? So this is one of that ad set that I was talking about. It's not the same day, so it's a little split up and times are a little off. But you can see I was adding 800, bumped it to 1,000 at 8:40. Like, that was late. That was like a 9 p.m. I wouldn't really recommend that. But, so then it was hovering at $1,000 a day. I did not reset it back to 300 the day before. If I get something up to that high, I let the next morning go, and if it still sticks, then, ride the wave, right? And then if it is still really good, add some more onto it. And that's what I did, 3 days later, I added another 500, so now I'm up to $1,500 a day. And then the next morning, 8 a.m., now that the budget's at $1,500 a day, I got a lot of data at 8 a.m., like a lot of data, so I could really make a decision, okay, let's add another 500 to this one specific ad set. So we were able to get it up to 4,000, and it stayed there for a good 3 days at 4,000. Then it started to take a hit, so I dropped it down to 3,000, kind of the soft landing approach that James was talking about to a certain extent, right? And this just hammers home. So this is how we were able to go from spending $8,000 a day to just jumping up to 18 and then getting to 25, and then we had to add more, account budget. So I had to hop on the Facebook chat and be able to get us some. And then, we hovered back down, but then, it ebbs and it flows, and we go up and down there. But you can see here from the time data there, the hour data, that a lot of our traffic peaks at the end of the night in this account from being able to do this, right?
Do you guys see how it looks like a wave, like it spends going up? So if you look at 6 p.m. beyond, that's where the majority of our spend is happening.
Yeah.
Now, Nick, I want to just bring Nick in here real quick. Are you paying attention? No, I'm not even being a jack off. Were you listening to this? Because I know you worked with Timber directly. Do you have any variations or any other distinctions you would add to this that we're not hitting?
I would say try not to make it as manual as possible. 'Cause
Yeah.
that is a lot of hours looking at a lot of accounts. So there's 3 platforms we use: AI Target, or could use.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me get this on video. Will you run that? I know you've been working really hard the last day and a half, and
Thank you. We used 3, so this was super manual. So I worked in-house for Timber for a couple months, and it was an absolute grind. We were doing 4 or 5 accounts, massive spends, big budgets, and when you first spend money, like when you get a new media buyer on your team, they get super nervous to spend money because it's not their money, or it's like the boss's money, and they just
Well, in
can't.
fairness, we were nervous spending this kind of money
For
with
sure.
somebody else. It's nerve-wracking.
You're sitting here like, oh my God,
You
that's
don't want to lose the money.
$5,000. That's $5,000. That's $5,000. But you know in your heart, you're like, okay, that's not going to spend through that because I'm going to be watching it. But then you're also tied to your computer, and then your friends hate you, and then your girlfriend hates you, and then your wife hates you. So we use Revelbot, Reveal, or AI Target, or AdStage. They take a percentage of spend, or you have someone very good enough to know what times, like Ryan, what times do I need to start lowering spend and pre-plan ahead?
Yep.
The point is not to spend the budget. So like on Black Friday, when we pushed through hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend, doing reach and frequency buys, doing tons of budget, my issue is like, I need to make sure it spends. And if you don't set high enough, you're not gonna be able to scale enough. There's no chance. So by going high, like Ryan's talking about, you're gonna ensure that you'll get those purchases. Because like you said, you're in a position where you need to acquire customers, and you're able to take a little knock on the front end knowing that your back end's gonna be super strong, which everybody in this room has tons and tons of back offers. Your email flow is like, where are you gonna make it up, right?
Right, totally.
so gun to the head, you gotta pick one. Which would you recommend?
Of all 3?
Yeah, just give me one. I mean,
Reveal.
Reveal, okay. Because that's the conversation him and I've had about we want to automate this
Yeah, it's the next
eventually, especially if it is.
Well, I mean,
It's the
we're
next
good.
slide.
No, it's the next step.
Oh, I thought shit. I'm giving the
No,
whole
it's not the
talk
next
away. Why did I should have just been quiet? The second question on that too was because if the next part of scale, going back to your talk yesterday, was having 5 different ad campaigns, or I mean, ad accounts. I meant that's you need, and then Nick hit that too. I love Ryan. There's no physical way though. I mean, he's getting married eventually here soon. We need to make sure that still happens.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, keep
We're
going.
putting those contingencies in place.
You got the site for that reveal?
Yeah.
Reveal bot.
I'll drop it in.
The groups would be great. Thank you so much.
That'd be perfect. Thanks, Nick. So bringing it all back around, right? So over the last 3 days, we ran a quick So it was Sunday. I was packing up. I was getting ready to here, and I see a huge spike in sales. I go to my email, and they had a waffle BOGO offer going. So I was like, wow, I wish they would have told me about that. So what I did is I just whipped up this this creative really quick, and I just pushed out to all of our email lists that we had in our Pixel audience. So anybody that watched a waffle video in like the last 30 days, over 50%, you know, I'm trying to get back in front of them. And we were able to, you know, get a 6x, you know, ROAS, and just the amount, you know, so then we extended it an extra day, and that's how we were able to get like 2 of the 3 record days over the last 3 days here. And it's just really, that's what we want to do. That's like the next level, and then we'll just keep going from there. Thank you.
Skilly, run, Skilly the man.
Yeah, I can tell this room's getting a little stir crazy. Cool. That's me, Stefan, George, who's not here, and then Steve Goldberg. Where's Steve at? It was awesome. That was before we knew we were getting ourselves into tonight.
Yeah.
Now, okay, this is kind of a joke. I mean, I don't need to plug 29029 because we've done enough of it, but I do got to tell you a funny story. My wife went up it 3 times, puked for the next 4 hours, and then slept for the next, you know, whatever, so many hours, and then got up the next day and did 6 more laps. Badass. Give my wife credit there. Okay, so actionable items. There's a lot of actionable items out of Ryan's talk, all the talks, right? Here's like simplicity, right? If you simply go back into your, am I saying this right? Creatives. What's the name of it again? Inside your
Creative reporting. Yeah,
creative reporting.
accountable.
Listen to me. Shh. One second. Because someone smarter taught me this, right? If you go into your creative reporting and you look at your history, you're going to have a ton of ads that were profitable that you stopped running because you're like, oh, they burned out. Like that mentality of it burns out. Well, go then back to what James said yesterday about taking the thumbnail images and testing those against each other. It's going to reinvigorate past ads that were already working for you that you killed, and then you worked your ass off and you create this whole nother video ad, which probably is working, but it's just a lot of effort when you can just change the thumbnails or cut small pieces out of the ad and then fire that bad boy back up, okay? That's number 1. Number 2 is go do exactly what Ryan said regarding spending more inside your campaign. And I tell you guys, this was a big emotional breakthrough for me, a mental breakthrough for me, because the fear of running this traffic is that you're going to lose money. The system that the last 2 days has given, and then if you combine it with like the budgeting, it was crazy. Nick talked about budgeting and bidding yesterday. Go watch that again. Ryan's talked about budgeting. Like, we think so much about the audience only and only about the creative, but then the next level of it is budgeting and bidding and how that works together and letting Facebook do the magic, right? Right? Good stuff. All right, let's give it for Ryan, okay? Here's another thing too, like I just challenge you to do this, right? If you're spending like $1,000 a day, make a commitment to go spend $5,000 tomorrow. Like if you lose and you could do this method during the day, if you lose a little bit of money, who cares? You need to emotionally get past this perception of, or like whatever your thing is, if you're spending $300 a day, go spend $1,200 tomorrow. If you spend $3,000, go spend $9,000, like put it on the calendar and then like just do it. Worst case scenario is you're gonna gather a ton of data, something's going to work, but the best case scenario is if you follow like this simple little plan, best case scenario is you're like, oh crap, I just spent 4x what I'm mentally and emotionally capable of, and I had a systematic plan, right? Just, I mean, this, you know, we're not just spending money. Why is everyone laughing? I see a couple of chuckles. Did I just say something funny? No? Okay, you're just smiling. It's good. Proud of you. Okay, cool. We gotta take a quick break. I think I have two announcements. Mark Stockman, raise your hand. Okay, Walt, where's Walt? Oh, William, that's Mark Stockman. Can you guys connect at a break real quick? You're over there? Awesome, awesome. All the Amazon guys, please do me a favor. Please make a commitment to using some of these Instagram strategies. I know there's a few of you in the room because I know buying Facebook sometimes is confusing, but like this influencer thing is like the easiest thing in the world, in my opinion, if you have a good quality product and a target audience. Just go do it, please. Is Matt Martirano in the room? All right, cool. So we have a happy hour at 6:30 p.m. tonight at Whiskey Blue Bar at the W Hotel on Peachtree Street.
4 blocks that way.
Oh, it's just outside. It's almost just outside the hotel. You just walk across the street from Spanx, and it's going to be right there. Maybe you guys know that joke. So Whiskey Blue. I don't think there's too many Whiskey Blues. Matt Martirano, who's the CEO of Connective. Connective is a CRM that allows you to do all your affiliate track. It's all built in one. It's awesome for people that use a lot of affiliates, CRM, and it's an e-commerce platform. Or he's building out an e-commerce integration platform that he says is going to kick a lot of asses of the other tools that are out there. So I'll let him explain that. But he's sponsoring tonight's drinks for a couple hours. Yeah. So if you don't know who Matt is, he kind of looks like Logan from, he looks like Hugh Jackman when he was Logan from Wolverine, when he's walked around here. Looks pretty badass. So let's see, what time we got right now? Let's do this. Come back, okay, 3:06. Let's do 3:20. I'll give you guys a 14-minute break. We're gonna come back for the panel. We got a nice crew. We got Esther Kiss. We got Tommy Powers. We got, where's Josh? I don't even know your last name. Yeah. Josh is gonna be up here on the panel. We got, who else am I missing? I have a couple people on the list right there. I just took the list and I missed it. The list is in your thing. We'll see you back at 3:20. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna wrap this up in a good way. Then Jesse should be back here as well.